Kelly Shaw, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization. I'm going to talk about my Uncle Barry's Bigfoot encounter. He passed away a few years ago, and he talked of a Bigfoot experience that he had when he was a teenager. There was 4 or 5 of his cousins and stuff that experienced it with him. They were camping in Utah near the Tabiona Swells area. It's on the south side of the Uintas. It's pretty remote. Back in the 70s when this happened, it was even more remote. I've never seen a Bigfoot myself, or I've seen some things, but that may or may not have been a Bigfoot in the forest. I just haven't had a clear enough sighting or actually saw the face or anything like that to where I can wrap my head around it and say, yes, I've seen Bigfoot. But I do believe there's something there. I've had probably a dozen friends and family members or more that have actually had clear up close sightings of the creature. So that helps me believe that me out here hunting for this North American bipedal animal, or whatever you want to call it, I don't think I'm wasting my time. Plus, over the years, I've found plenty of physical evidence that helps me to believe, I'm in some of the right places, trackways of footprints, some of the vocalizations, and then, I've been paralleled and bull rushed and so forth. Well, anyway, I want to talk about what happened to my uncle when he was a teenager. It was a big family camping trip in the Tabiona Swells area. They had campers and trailers and whatnot. Most of the teenagers or kids were in tents. They were in like a 5-man canvas tent. This is the tent that I camped in this weekend that I'm using as a model. Barry was actually sleeping with his .22 rifle near him. They're in bear country, mountain lion country. They come from a family of gun owners. I mean, they taught us how to use guns when we were small kids. About the age of 11, you can start hunting small game. You either got a .22 or a shotgun for your birthday, or you got both. And he had a .22. He knew how to use it. He knew the safety of it and everything. His parents didn't have a problem with him having it in the tent for protection. They were all getting settled down and starting to fall asleep at night. Then they could smell like a rancid smell, like sewage, as he explains it. They heard someone, at least they thought it was a someone. It sounded like a person walking around their tent, a biped, and they could smell this stench. Barry, he was sleeping the closest to the door of the tent. The zipper started to unzip. So Barry grabbed it from the inside and started yanking it down, and then a little tug-of-war started to ensue. Whatever walked around their tent, it smelled like that rank smell was coming from it. They're having a tug-of-war with the zipper. It's trying to unzip, come in. Everybody in the tent's on point, and Barry starts saying, "Hey, identify yourself. Who is it? This isn't funny. I have a gun. I will shoot if you don't identify yourself." He sat giving all these threats and warnings, even though he had no intentions of actually shooting who was on the other side of it. They thought someone was messing with them. It was some big kind of a joke, but he made several threats and stuff, and they, struggled back and forth with the zipper. And finally, after what seemed like a couple of minutes of this going on, it let go of the zipper and started walking away into the forest. At that point in time, he ripped the zipper open to see, who it was. He had a whole tent of cousins and stuff behind him. It was a giant, hairy biped walking into the forest. They had a really good moon that night that put light down upon it. When he first saw it, it was only a dozen feet or so from the tent when he ripped it open, and because he heard it walking away. He wanted to see who it was. I mean, they still had it in the back of their head that it was someone messing with them, and then they saw, the giant hairy creature. He says it was taller than anyone that they were camping with. Barry is like 6'1" himself, so he's a pretty tall guy. He says it was much taller than him. Estimates maybe at 7 feet tall. They watched it go and the stink went with it. And then they all freaked out and they went and started knocking on campers and trailers and telling all of the adults of what just happened. The adults believed them, the way they were all acting and sounding, and they did not make them sleep in their tent. Anybody in a tent climbed into a trailer or a camper, and people were sleeping in the aisleways and campers and stuff. That's how bad of an experience it was. But you know, that's one of the Bigfoot sightings over the years that's happened to some of my family members that tells me I'm not wasting my time going to these Bigfoot sighting hotspots and trying to document an actual Bigfoot. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're out here Bigfooting. We're getting ready to clean up our camp and head out for the day. Keep on watching. We'll keep on squatching.